There is a version of you that you haven't met yet. A version so cold, so calculated, and so relentlessly consistent that if you met him today, you wouldn't recognize him. You would fear him. Most people think discipline is about waking up early, or eating clean, or working hard. They are wrong. Real discipline is not a habit. It is an act of violence against your own weakness. It is the ability to look at your emotions, your fatigue, and your excuses, and bury them alive. Machiavelli knew this. He didn't write for the saints. He wrote for the strategists. He understood that to hold power in a chaotic world, you cannot be soft. You cannot be predictable. You must become a force of nature. When you become truly disciplined, people don't just respect you. They get nervous around you. They sense a shift. They see a man who can no longer be manipulated, a man who has stopped negotiating with himself, and that terrifies them. Because a man who cannot be broken by his own mind cannot be broken by anything. You are here because you are tired, not physically tired, soul tired. You are exhausted by your own inconsistency. You are sick of making promises to yourself that you break by noon. You are watching others rise while you stay trapped in the same loop of motivation followed by collapse. You want to know how to break out. You want to know how to build a mind that is bulletproof. I am going to show you how. But be warned, this is not self-help. This is self-destruction. We are going to destroy the weak, dependent, emotional part of you so that the ruler can emerge. We are going to apply the ruthless philosophy of Niccolò Machiavelli to your daily existence. By the end of this video, you will understand why being liked is a weakness, and why being feared through your discipline is the ultimate freedom. But you have to listen closely, because the secret isn't in what you add to your life. It's in what you are willing to kill. Most men are slaves. Slaves to their impulses. Slaves to their phones. Slaves to the opinions of people they don't even like. The moment you start this path, you stop being a slave. You become a sovereign. But sovereignty has a price. Are you willing to pay it? Phase 1. The discipline of silence. Machiavelli famously said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience who you really are." The average man tells you everything. He broadcasts his plans. He posts his workouts. He announces his new era on social media before he has done a single day of work. He seeks validation for effort he hasn't even exerted yet. This is why he fails. He releases the pressure valve before the engine even starts. You must do the opposite. You must become a ghost. True discipline requires silence. It requires the dark. When you are constantly talking about your goals, you are begging for approval. You are asking the world, "Is it okay if I become this?" Stop asking. The most dangerous man in the room is the one who listens, watches, and says nothing. When you go silent, you create a vacuum. People become unsettled. They project their own fears onto you. They wonder what you are up to. They wonder why you don't need their attention anymore. This silence is your armor. It protects your intent. When you work in the dark, you make mistakes that no one sees. You correct them without judgment. You build strength without the interference of other people's doubt. Imagine disappearing for 6 months. No announcements, no explanations, just work. The gym, the business, the mind. You cut the noise. You cut the cheap dopamine. You cut the toxic friends who only love you when you are drinking with them. And then you re-emerge. But you don't come back the same. You come back sharper, heavier. Your presence feels different. You don't have to tell people you changed. They feel it. They see it in your posture. They hear it in the way you don't speak. This is the discipline of the ghost. It scares people because it reminds them of their own lack of focus. It reminds them that while they were seeking attention, you were building power. Start today. Stop explaining yourself. Explanation is the language of the victim. The powerful do not justify their actions, they execute them. If you are tired, shut up and work. If you are hurt, shut up and heal. If you are winning, shut up and keep winning. Your results will speak, and their voice will be louder than anything you could ever say. Comment this below if you are ready to enter the void. I build in silence. Phase 2. Emotional alchemy. There is a misconception that disciplined people are robots, that they don't feel pain or boredom or sadness. That is a lie. The disciplined man feels everything. He feels the desire to sleep in. He feels the sting of rejection. He feels the overwhelming urge to quit. The difference is, he does not care. Machiavelli argued that a leader must not be ruled by emotion, but must use emotion. He said, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. You must apply this to yourself. You cannot rely on loving the grind. You will not love the grind at 4 a.m. You will hate it. You cannot rely on passion. Passion is a fickle flame. A gust of wind blows it out. You need something colder. You need duty. Discipline is the art of acting in direct opposition to how you feel. It is emotional alchemy. You take the lead weight of, "I don't want to," and you transmute it into the gold of, "I did it anyway." When you stop consulting your feelings before you act, you become dangerous. Think about it. If your enemy knows that you only fight when you are motivated, all they have to do is wait until you are sad, until you are tired. Then you are defenseless. But if you are the kind of man who works harder when he is miserable, who trains harder when he is heartbroken, who focuses deeper when he is angry, you become unpredictable. You become immune to circumstance. This scares people. They look at you and they think, "Why isn't he stopping? He should be broken by now." They don't understand that you have detached your actions from your feelings. You treat your emotions like the weather. You might look out the window and see a storm. You acknowledge it. It is raining. But you do not cancel your mission because of rain. You put on a coat and you walk. This is the Machiavellian approach to the self. You are the prince, and your emotions are the unruly subjects. You listen to them, but you do not let them rule the kingdom. If they riot, you crush them. Start practicing the seconds rule. When the alarm goes off, you have 3 seconds. If you think about it for 4 seconds, your brain will convince you to stay in bed. Your brain is designed for comfort, not greatness. It is a survival mechanism, not a success mechanism. You must bypass the negotiation. 1, 2, 3. Move. Do not think. Thinking is the enemy of execution in the moment of weakness. Just move. The body must obey the command. Over time, you rewire your neural pathways. You stop being a man who tries to be good. You become a machine that functions regardless of how it feels. This is how you become untouchable. When your internal state no longer dictates your external output, you are free. Phase 3. The weaponization of isolation. Machiavelli knew that to maintain power, a ruler often had to stand alone. He wrote, "A wise prince should rely on what is in his own control, not on what is in the control of others." Look at your circle. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you, or are they comfortable? Most people are terrified of being alone. They fill every silent moment with podcasts, music, texting, scrolling. They cannot sit in a room with their own thoughts because their thoughts haunt them. Their thoughts tell them the truth. You are wasting your potential. To become terrifyingly disciplined, you must embrace isolation. You must be willing to walk away from people who do not serve the mission. This sounds cruel. It is. It is ruthless, but it is necessary. When you start to rise, people will try to pull you back, not because they hate you, but because your growth highlights their stagnation. You are a mirror. When you get in shape, the fat friend feels judged. When you build a business, the lazy friend feels attacked. They will say, "You've changed. You're obsessed. You're no fun anymore. Good. Fun is the distraction of the average. You are not here for fun. You are here for mastery. You must become comfortable with the idea of being the villain in their story. Let them call you cold. Let them call you distant. Let them tell stories about how you think you're better than everyone else. You don't think you're better. You just have different standards, and you refuse to lower them to make others feel comfortable. Isolation is the laboratory of the great. It is in the solitude that you find out who you actually are. Without the noise of other people's opinions, you hear your own voice. You clarify your vision. You need to schedule periods of total withdrawal, monk mode, deep work, whatever you want to call it. Lock the door, turn off the phone, and face the work. In that space, you will find demons. You will find boredom. You will find anxiety, and you will fight them. And when you win that fight in the dark, you will walk into the light with a confidence that cannot be faked. People sense this. They sense a man who does not need them. And ironically, that is exactly what makes them want to follow you. The man who is comfortable alone is the man everyone wants to be around, because he is the only one who is not trying to take something from them. He is full. Phase 4. The fear of unpredictability. Machiavelli advised that a leader should never be entirely predictable. It is much safer to be feared than loved, because love is preserved by the link of obligation which is broken at every opportunity for their advantage. But fear preserves you by a dread of punishment, which never fails. How does this apply to discipline? When you are undisciplined, you are predictable. People know you will quit. They know you will complain. They know that if they pressure you enough, you will fold. You are easy to manipulate because your weaknesses are visible. When you become disciplined, you become a glitch in their matrix. You stop reacting. Someone insults you, you don't get angry. You look at them, pause, and go back to work. A crisis happens. You don't panic. You analyze. You lose money. You don't cry. You rebuild. This lack of reaction is terrifying to manipulative people. They rely on your emotional volatility to control you. When you remove the buttons they used to push, they are powerless. Your consistency becomes your weapon. Imagine a man who shows up every single day. He doesn't complain. He doesn't brag. He just executes. Year after year, you cannot stop him. You cannot discourage him. You cannot distract him. That man is scary because he is inevitable. You want to be that man. You want to be the force that cannot be bargained with. This is not about being aggressive. It is about being implacable, like a glacier, slow, silent, but crushing everything in its path. This requires you to kill the part of you that craves sympathy. Stop telling people your problems. Stop posting about your bad days. Stop looking for a pat on the back. When you look for sympathy, you are showing your belly. You are showing the world where you can be hurt. Machiavelli would tell you to hide your wounds, not because you are ashamed, but because you do not want to give your enemies the satisfaction of knowing they drew blood. Stand up straight, fix your face, walk with purpose. Even if your world is burning down, you do not let them see you sweat. This is not faking it. This is framing it. You are framing reality. You are telling the world, I am in control, and eventually you will be. Phase 5. The standard of the absolute. Why do you fail? You fail because your standards are too low. You have accepted a version of reality where trying is enough, where almost is okay. You need to raise the floor. Machiavelli studied the great empires, Rome, Sparta. They didn't fall because of external enemies. They fell because they rotted from within. They lost their discipline. They became soft. Luxury made them weak. You are living in the most luxurious time in human history. You have heating, delivery food, endless entertainment, pornography, sugar, drugs. Everything is designed to make you soft. Everything is designed to sedate you. To be disciplined in this world is an act of rebellion. You must declare war on comfort. You must set standards that seem unreasonable to everyone else. Why do you wake up at 4 a.m.? Why do you verify every detail? Why do you refuse to eat that? Because I am not you. That is the internal monologue. You don't say it out loud. You just live it. When you hold yourself to a standard of excellence, you expose the mediocrity of everyone around you. This is why they hate it. Your existence challenges their excuses. If you can do it, why can't they? It's easier for them to call you crazy or obsessed than to admit they are lazy. Let them. The Machiavellian man does not lower himself to be understood by fools. He forces the world to rise to meet him, or he leaves the world behind. You must become ruthless with your time. Time is the only resource you cannot regenerate. Every second you spend arguing with an idiot, scrolling through social media, or worrying about things you cannot control is a second you have stolen from your future empire. Guard your time like a dragon guards gold. Be inaccessible. Be brief. Be direct. When people realize that your time is expensive, they stop wasting it. When they realize your attention is rare, they value it. Discipline creates scarcity, and scarcity creates value. By becoming so disciplined that you are almost mechanical in your execution, you elevate yourself out of the competition. Most people are competing in the average bracket. The air is thin at the top because few have the lungs to breathe there. Climb there. The view is different. The silence is different. Phase 6. The death of the old self. This is the hardest part. This is the part where you have to hold the funeral. To become the person who scares them, you have to kill the person you used to be. You have to kill the version of you that needs to be liked. You have to kill the version of you that apologizes for having ambition. You have to look at your past, your mistakes, your trauma, your embarrassments, and you have to close the door. Machiavelli said, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." You are at war with your past self. If you do not kill him, he will kill your future. He will drag you back into the old habits. He will whisper in your ear when things get hard. Just take a break. Just one drink. Just skip today. You must be ruthless. You are shedding a skin. It is painful. It leaves you raw, but it is the only way to grow. You might lose friends. You might lose a partner. You might be misunderstood by your family. This is the tax you pay for greatness. Do not complain about the tax. Just pay it. Because on the other side of that death is a rebirth. A version of you that is leaner, meaner, and faster. A version of you that operates on logic, not emotion. A version of you that sees the world as a chessboard, not a playground. This new you is scary. He scares you a little bit, doesn't he? He should. Power is always frightening. And you are building power. Not power over others. That is tyranny. But power over yourself. That is majesty. When you walk into a room with total self-control, you vibrate at a different frequency. People yield the right of way. They don't know why, but they know you are not to be trifled with. You have that look. The look of a man who has seen the abyss and walked through it. The look of a man who has conquered his own mind. There is no greater victory. As the Stoics knew, as Machiavelli knew, the man who conquers himself is greater than the man who conquers a city. So, what happens when you commit to this? When you truly become this disciplined? The noise stops. The anxiety that has buzzed in the background of your life for years, it goes quiet. Because anxiety comes from knowing you are unprepared. It comes from knowing you are lying to yourself. When you are disciplined, you have nothing to hide. You know who you are. You know what you are capable of. You stop fearing the future because you are building it. You stop fearing other people because you know they cannot outwork you. You stop fearing failure because you know that failure is just data for the next attempt. You become free. but it is a cold freedom. It is a lonely freedom. It is the freedom of the wolf on the hill, looking down at the sheep in the pen. They are warm. They are safe. They are fed. But they are trapped. You are out in the cold. You are hungry, but you are free. And that is the choice you have to make today. Do you want the warmth of the herd or the power of the hunt? You cannot have both. Machiavelli wrote his philosophy in exile. He was stripped of his status, tortured and cast out. And in that darkness, he wrote the words that would change the world. He didn't need the applause. He needed the truth. Your discipline is your truth. It is the only thing that is yours. They can take your money. They can take your job. They can take your reputation. But they cannot take your discipline. They cannot take your ability to endure. That is your fortress. That is your throne. Listen to me. The world is getting softer. The world is getting louder. The world is getting more chaotic. This is your advantage. While they get weaker, you get harder. While they get distracted, you get focused. While they seek comfort, you seek the edge. You are going to scare them. Not because you are trying to, but because you are a mirror reflecting everything they are too cowardly to become. Let them stare. Let them whisper. Let them fear. You have work to do. The path is cold. The path is steep. And you must walk it alone. But now, you are ready. If you have made it this far, you are part of the 0.01%. You are the outlier. Prove it. Comment below, I choose the cold path. And if you want to continue this descent into the deep psychology of power, if you want to arm your mind with weapons they don't teach you in school, subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. We are just getting started. The old you is dead. Now, go build the new one.